you would have met her before Melody, do you think you and this woman would be married?
The silence is deafening.
No.
Did y'all really have to give him the cue? Let him answer it.
What was I saying? Because she likes you because you had money.
You don't want to answer it? Okay. How does it feel to hear that the man who said that he wanted to spend the rest of your life with you?
I think it's bull. At the end of the day, what I feel is that Martell couldn't leave either of us alone. That's what I would say. Because he was still there, and if I hadn't have left, he still would have been there.
So how does it feel to hear that? And I'm not gonna put words in your mouth. And
Thank you.
And you can cuss me out and stop me when I say this. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So I'm not. It seems to me that you were in love with two women at the same time, and that you just weren't enough for him to love all at once.
I was enough. I would never.
Carlos King opens up why love and marriage, Huntsville might be coming to an end. In a recent, honest, and emotional interview, Carlos King, the creator and executive producer of Love and Marriage, Huntsville, shared something that caught fans completely off guard. He openly admitted that the show might be ending. But what caused such a successful series to come to this point? The answer isn't simple. It's a story filled with stress, tension, betrayal, and emotional exhaustion. During one of his Instagram live sessions, Carlos didn't hold back. He explained that producing the show had become too much. It wasn't just your typical TV drama anymore. It had turned into something heavier and harder to manage. Carlos said, "I have to consider if the energy around this show is even worth it anymore." That wasn't just a moment of frustration, it was a red flag. Things behind the scenes were clearly falling apart. Carlos explained that filming the show had become extremely difficult. Each season, reunion episodes were more and more stressful. Some cast members didn't even want to be around each other anymore. People were interrupting scenes, storming off set, or refusing to film together altogether.
I think you're still in love with Melody, and I think it's okay to say that. When you say I miss that, that is your family.
What should have been simple turned into chaos. Shooting just one group scene became a huge task, filled with problems from all directions. And it wasn't just about the drama on camera. The emotional toll on everyone involved, including Carlos himself, was becoming overwhelming. Carlos revealed that none of the cast members were enjoying the process anymore. Having to relive painful parts of their personal lives on camera took a toll. The line between their real lives and what was shown on TV had blurred, and not in a good way. What happened on set started affecting their actual lives, and vice versa. Each new season added more emotional weight. Carlos said it became exhausting to try and pull stories out of people who didn't want to talk anymore. As he put it, "I'm not going to beg adults to talk to each other." If there was one storyline that initially pulled in viewers, it was the complicated and emotional relationship between Melody and Martell Holt. At first, their rocky marriage, cheating scandal, and divorce brought drama that fans couldn't look away from. But as time went on, what once made for great TV turned into something toxic. By the end of the latest season, they could barely speak to each other.
I know that, I just know he's the one that's going to help me get over any foolishness or to start to satisfy my wife 100%,
Right.
to do what I'm supposed to do.
It's like devastating to me to think about my family being split. Why would I stoop so low and be so foolish to really risk my family multiple times?
Don't think I'm being facetious, but in terms of cockiness or arrogance or something like that, have you ever saw that in me?
It started a little bit after you got to college at A&M and then you started to become a star there.
Yeah.
That's when you start to get a little cocky, a little arrogant. You got to tone it down a little bit, man. Because
Yes.
I mean,
I need a whole makeover.
Yeah, if you can get one,
Right.
if you can get one without changing your heart. Because you got a good heart. You got a good heart, but I mean, it's just your mind telling you to do a lot of different things that you don't need to be doing.
Yeah.
Even when they filmed scenes about co-parenting, it was cold, awkward, and uncomfortable. According to Carlos, it became a huge challenge just to schedule scenes with them because they didn't want to be anywhere near each other. This falling out affected the rest of the cast, too. Group scenes often became battlegrounds. Friends were pulled into the middle, forced to pick sides. While Martel's behavior was criticized by many, Melody often found herself alone. The entire show started to feel emotionally heavy and repetitive. People kept rehashing the same arguments without finding any real solutions. Carlos admitted that while he wanted to stay true to the show's authenticity, it was becoming too much. The emotional energy that once connected the cast was now pushing everyone apart. Melody and Martel weren't the only ones having problems. The once close cast had become deeply divided. Kimmy and Maurice Scott tried to keep the peace and bring people together. They often acted as the calming voices in the group, trying to help others get along. But even their attempts at being neutral caused problems. Instead of being respected for their efforts, they were accused of taking sides. Kimmy's calm personality was seen as fake, and Maurice was thought to be too loyal to Martel. Their own marriage storyline was affected. Fans started doubting their relationship, and they were pulled into drama that didn't even involve them.
All of that foolishness that you felt like was no big deal at one particular time has blossomed into a whole forest of big deal. Because my husband has all over the internet about having sex with his wife with cancer.
Carlos mentioned that Kimmy, who was also battling real-life health issues, seemed especially drained by the negativity. She showed up to film, but her energy was clearly affected. Even scenes that were meant to bring the group together would end up in arguments. It got to the point where no one, not even the peacemakers, felt emotionally safe. Things weren't just falling apart on screen. Carlos shared that even people on the production side started behaving in strange ways. He said some people were no longer being honest or supportive. This was particularly painful for Carlos, who built his brand on truth, transparency, and uplifting stories about Black excellence. He didn't name anyone specifically, but said certain producers were spreading lies, showing favoritism, and even working against him. That betrayal was deeply personal. Carlos had always focused on creating real, meaningful content. But now, he felt like some people were deliberately stirring up fake drama just to get more shocking footage, even if it hurt the people involved. On top of all that, Carlos said he faced pressure from network executives to highlight certain cast members more than others or protect some from criticism. That kind of interference made things even more complicated. It created more division within the team and made Carlos feel like he was losing control of the show he had worked so hard to build. He said, "When you have people in your own house working against you, it's hard to keep the lights on." He started to question who he could even trust anymore. Just when Carlos thought things couldn't get worse, he was hit with what he called one of the biggest betrayals of his career. A cast member he considered family was secretly sabotaging the show. According to Carlos, this person was leaking confidential information, twisting storylines, and using the platform to boost their own brand while tearing the rest of it down. This person would tell one version of events to one person and a completely different version to someone else, causing confusion and suspicion among the cast. No one knew who to trust anymore, and the environment became unstable. Carlos said this betrayal hurt more than anything. He had provided this person with a platform, trusted them, and watched them turn around and use that same platform to damage everything they had built together. He made it clear, "I can't work with someone who's actively working against me." That was the moment he seriously started questioning whether the show had a future at all. There was another layer that added even more pressure. Carlos explained how the cast began to feel crushed by the constant public criticism. People weren't just filming a show, they were fighting for how they were seen in the eyes of the public 24/7. If someone cried on camera, fans said it was fake. If they stayed quiet, people said they were hiding something. As a result, the cast stopped wanting to open up or be vulnerable. Even worse, Carlos said that when drama wasn't as intense in real life, the blogs would twist it and blow it out of proportion. Once those stories spread, it was nearly impossible to stop them. That's when Carlos realized that the spotlight had turned toxic. It was hurting everyone, including himself. He admitted that the show was starting to affect his own mental and emotional health. What once brought him joy now felt like a constant battle. He summed it up simply, it stopped being fun. It started to feel like survival. Carlos said he no longer felt like he had control over the direction of the show. What started as a celebration of Black love, growth, and success had turned into a war zone full of resentment and damage control. He said that walking away wasn't about giving up, it was about protecting himself and the integrity of the love and marriage brand. "I'm not going to lose myself for a show. I love myself more than I love what I made," he said. That line hit home for many longtime fans. People who had watched him pour his heart into the show for years saw how much pain he was carrying. One fan commented, "Carlos gave us everything, but you can only carry toxic energy for so long." Another wrote, "Let it go before it breaks you completely. You owe no one your peace." So now the big question is love and marriage, Huntsville, really over, or is this just a pause? Carlos hasn't given a clear answer. Some fans believe this could be a soft reboot, maybe he's reorganizing, restructuring, and preparing for a stronger comeback. Others think he might be ready to leave Huntsville behind and start something fresh elsewhere. He's hinted at having more stories to tell and more projects in the future. The franchise might continue, possibly with a different cast or in a new location. Whatever comes next, one thing is certain, Carlos will move forward on his terms. What do you think? What do you believe led Carlos King to step away? Do you think the show can be saved, or was it doomed from the start? Share your thoughts in the comments below. So, there you have it. After years of drama, love, betrayal, healing, and heartbreak, love and marriage, Huntsville might be coming to an end, and not because the ratings dropped or the story got boring, but because, sometimes, real life gets too real. Carlos King poured his heart and soul into this show. It wasn't just a production to him, it was a passion. He built something that gave us a deep look into Black relationships, business, family, and friendship. He created a space where real stories could be told, raw emotions could be seen, and uncomfortable conversations could happen. But over time, the very thing that made the show powerful also made it too heavy to carry. What started as a celebration of success and love turned into a battlefield of grudges, unresolved pain, and personal betrayal. When cast members stop talking to each other, when filming becomes toxic, and when the man behind it all starts to lose himself, that's when it's time to step back and ask, is it still worth it? Carlos made the difficult but courageous choice to protect his peace. He chose to walk away rather than allow the show and the energy surrounding it to destroy what he had worked so hard to build. That takes strength. And honestly, it takes love for the cast, love for the viewers, and most importantly, love for himself. Now, the big question remains, is this truly the end, or just a new beginning? Carlos hasn't confirmed anything yet. Maybe this is just a break, a much-needed reset. Maybe he's planning a reboot in a new city, with fresh faces and renewed energy. Or maybe he's finally ready to close this chapter and start a brand new one altogether. One thing is clear, whatever Carlos does next, it will be on his terms. As fans, we have to honor that. We watched this show evolve, just like we saw its people grow, fall, fight, and rebuild. And no matter where things go from here, the impact of love and marriage, Huntsville will always be remembered. Carlos King reminded us that Black stories matter. That behind every picture-perfect marriage or business is real effort, real struggle, and real emotion. He also reminded us that when things become too toxic, when the drama outweighs the purpose, it's okay to walk away. It's okay to choose peace over production. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. So, let's take a moment to say thank you. Thank you to Carlos. Thank you to the cast, even with all the ups and downs. And thank you to the fans who supported this journey from day one. Now it's your turn. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the show is truly over? Should it return with a new cast? Was Carlos right to walk away? And if you could give Carlos one piece of advice or a message of support, what would it be? Let's keep the conversation going. This story may be taking a pause, but the community behind it is still very much alive. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. I'll be following the story closely and bringing you the latest as soon as we know more. And remember, real stories, real people, and real emotions are what make shows like this unforgettable. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. This story may be taking a pause, but the community behind it is still very much alive. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. I'll be following the story closely and bringing you the latest as soon as we know more. And remember, real stories, real people, and real emotions are what make shows like this unforgettable. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.